This is Pearl. Pearl is a 15-1, 16-year-old Welsh cob, and she has had laminitis. She had a acute laminitis about 9 months ago, and her owners fixed the diet, took her off grass, that sort of thing. She got laminitis from from too much grass, too much carbohydrate, and she has had various soundness issues since then, basically. So she got laminitis, got rotation of her pedal bone, her feet changed as they do, her toes stretched and soles dropped, all the usual sort of stuff. And whilst they fixed the diet and brought her out of the acute stage, her feet have kind of stayed the same way basically since that time. So at the moment, Pearl has shoes on her front feet. She's happy enough at the walk. She does stumble a lot and she will take the odd ouchy step, but she's generally happy enough at the walk. She, at the trot, is relatively uncomfortable at the trot. And what happens is, basically, if she gets any work, she goes lame. So she's stuck in no man's land, really, for probably the last 6 months. She hasn't changed, her feet haven't changed much. She's just stuck between, or stuck with the feet that she's got from laminitis, from the lack of connection of the dorsal wall, and all the other stuff that's happened. Basically, she is stuck with very poor feet. So any amount of work, especially in hard ground, she goes lame. So we've got Pearl to try and turn that around, hopefully. We want to see if she can grow in some better feet, and with better connecting walls and a thicker sole, a more concave sole, all that sort of stuff, to hopefully restore her back to 100% fitness. This is Pearl's trot out in shoes. She's quite lame on the near fore. She's largely been written off, I suppose. Her owner was thinking about putting her down. A couple of different vets have advised that Pearl won't get any better than this, and that if anything, she will get worse, as she's slowly done over the last few months. So it's a last ditch effort, I suppose. We hope to turn her around. We're going to make sure she's comfortable 100% of the time. We might be able to see how flat that is, and in fact how convex it is, and that the lowest part of her foot is a frog. So she really has nothing much to walk on at all. As I say, it's very important that we do not take away material where we shouldn't take it away from, I should say, where she needs it, because she has very little material in this part of her foot, and probably in the back part of her foot to some degree, but she has relatively good depth in the back of her foot, in the collateral groove. So it's really important in these cases to trim out this old flaky sole and not the live sole. We're not wanting to drastically change her foot. We're not in one go, I should say. We're not wanting to drastically change anything for her. Lots of small changes will see her have the best chance of getting better. But we want trimming the bar there just down to level of live sole. You can see a bit of bruising there. That's as much as I want or need to trim out there. So very little. As I say, it's really important that it's just trimming into that old flaky sole. We can see the difference between this side, removing some of that material. We're not carving concavity into her feet, as you might say. We're just trimming off some of this excess sole here. You can see how convex that is. This retained sole here is going to be like a golf ball stuck in her foot. It's just pushing into her. There's no room for flexion. In fact, this part of her foot here is higher than the rest of her foot, so very unnatural situation for her to be weight bearing through here first of all, so just creates excess pressure. So hopefully I can remove some of it with the knife. If I can't, alright, we can. Again, need to be careful here that we're removing. Looking here, it might have been an old abscess, but it's not. It's important that we're just removing, as I say, this old sole. Generally about a half to a third of the length of the frog in front of the frog is where we will want break over. it's probably pretty close. Because of the shoe, because of the way it's been trimmed, we've lost a bit of definition there of our white line and so forth. White line probably starts here. You can see the white line is quite stretched. So this is where our lamella wedge was. If we pick the foot up, you can see the hollows and things like that. So that's where the white line has stretched and disconnected with the lamina. So hoof wall would have been out here, etc., which has been cut off. So next thing for her is to probably reduce this height through the quarters just a little bit and roll through the front of that toe, and that's about it. So there's very little to be done for Pearl. Her heel height is actually probably not too bad. Just want to float a little bit of that sole because it's just so flat, so much weight bearing. That's about it. Try and leave some whisker of height here in the back of her foot for comfort. The foot's so flat, so short, we really want to leave as much as we can for her for comfort, but we want to take away enough to get forward progress. So I'm going to roll now from quarters forward, put a bit of a bevel on, just around the edge here at the front, because until, as I say, a toe position isn't too bad, but I've lost some definition of where things are. The last thing I want to do to her is rasp into this sole of her foot. So I'm just rasping where I can see there's white line, a little bit stretched. Just tidy that up. So that's about it. We have a foot that's balanced in this direction. There's probably more old sole I could pull out of here, but for her at this point of the game, it's not about getting it exactly perfect today. I just want to make some difference to her and put some padding on her feet and let her walk around and get comfortable over the next couple of days. As she walks and moves, what happens is, particularly without having the x-rays here, and the amount of material on the bottom of her feet, if we go to try and get it too perfect today, we could take away too much material, and that's the last thing we want to do to her. So leaving a little bit extra rather than a little bit less is definitely the safest way to go, particularly with laminitis and horses. Particularly with laminitis, where a horse has a very, very thin sole, a very thin foot. Okay, we're back here with Pearl. We pulled her shoes off a week ago, and I didn't trim her feet too much or do too much to them really. I wanted to just see how she went out of her shoes for basically a week, because I got the luxury of having her here at my property. So now we're just going to have a look at her feet and do a better trim basically, and set her up. Basically set her up to start really improving and healing her feet.